Good morning, everyone out there. And today we are going to talk about a wonderful topic which kind of really governs the way we live. That is the power of patterns. And we are going to talk about how unseen habits shape our failures, shapes our successes. So I would like to know, have you ever felt like, like you're stuck in a situation despite you trying to move forward? So think about it. Have you ever felt like that? Have you ever felt that it is so easy for someone to clean up a room and it is so difficult for you to do the same thing? It's just an example of room, but it could be any act, any task in your life. What if I told you that the key to changing all of this lies in understanding the patterns you are following every day? Yeah. And when you look at patterns, just give me a moment. Yeah. I forget the name of the person, but someone very famously said, you are what you repeat. You become what you repeat every day. What you repeat every day becomes habits. And when you pile them on throughout various aspects of your life, whether I'm talking about emotional aspect or the responses that you have, they then together form the patterns of life. So patterns basically are, we are talking about repetition. That's what patterns are. We are going to talk about four aspects. One is in detail, what are patterns? The brain science behind patterns. That's the second thing. The third is how do you identify and change these patterns? And the fourth thing we are going to talk about is how handwriting reveals your subconscious patterns. So these are the four things we are going to talk about. What are patterns? What is the brain science behind patterns? How do you identify and change patterns? And what handwriting reveals in terms of patterns? And before I get into the meat of the matter, I would like to introduce myself. I am Preeti Gandhi, a handwriting analyst and a graphoanalytical therapist. And I have been in various industries. Like I have been a co-founder of an advertising agency for 21 years. And I have done a number of other things leading me to this space of handwriting, the beauty of handwriting, the science of handwriting, the kind of impact it has on our lives. And because I have gone through my own ups and downs, and handwriting has been a key component that has helped me overcome those challenges, then it became a mission of my life to support souls to lead their own life. And when I say lead your own life, is you lead what is your desire, what is your purpose in life, and lead your life that way. If we don't do that, then we end up leading someone else's life. It could be our parents, it could be our spouse, it could be our children. Then we are led by what they want us to do, what they expect out of us. So as a person who has gone through their own journey, I really believe in spreading the beauty of this science, the power of this science, the simplicity of this science as a powerful tool for personal change, for personal development, for personal awareness. So, yes, coming back to the topic of patterns. So, what are patterns? What are our, uh, how are patterns formed? So, without getting into the technicalities, everything happens in our brain. And we have three components to the brain. One is the conscious mind, the other is the subconscious mind, and third is the unconscious mind. Now, conscious mind is what we think in awareness. Like, for example, if I want to be uh, an actor today, an actress today, that's my conscious mind. Okay. I'm consciously thinking about it. The subconscious mind is where my patterns are. And it is my patterns that will govern how I follow or do not follow the dreams that I see in my conscious mind. For example, I'm not someone who really likes to dress up or who really likes to uh, put on a lot of makeup. So this subconscious pattern of mine, does it really gel with wanting to be an actress? May or maybe not. In more probability, not. So whether I may want to become an actress, but do my subconscious patterns support that dream? That is something that we need to think about. And patterns are the behaviors, thoughts, and emotional responses that we repeat every day. They become habits that guide our actions without you even knowing about it. For example, a child walks into the room, and the child walked in a particular way. Now, knowingly, unknowingly, you just end up, you know reprimanding the child, screaming at the child. It's only later on you realize, oh, there was no need of it, but it just happens. It's as if you have no control over it. Now, those are, the strong neural pathways that have already been formed in a very, very powerful way. For example, the way you tie your shoes, it happens so unconsciously. If someone says, oh, how do you tie your shoes? You may not really be able to, tell it step by step, because it happens at a subconscious level. Yes, now if someone tells you tie your shoe in a different way, like make this particular pattern, it may be difficult for you because the subconscious pattern is of a particular way. Now, there are also emotional patterns. For example, if someone says, it often happens that some of your friend will say, Are, you can do this. But inside you, the subconscious pattern is, I don't think I'm good enough to do it. It's my idea. How can that idea be good? And because this subconscious pattern is there, you will not end up taking actions. So that is what patterns are, how they govern our body, how they govern our life. Body also, absolutely, because when you want to go out for an exercise, the subconscious pattern or the body feels, that क्यों इतना तकलीफ देना है बॉडी को, चल तो रहा है, यू आर एबल टू डू थिंग्स, सो इट्स ओके, फिटनेस बाद में देखेंगे. So your mind, your body then comes in sync and says, okay, I don't want to go for exercise today. So that's not a good sync, but yeah, that's how it happens. So when you want to change your habits, your new behaviors, for it to become automatic, you have to go through the process of habit formation. And old habits are kind of very hard to break, and new habits are hard to form, because the behavioral patterns that we repeat as human beings, they become imprinted in our neural pathways. So what you see as a strong pathway, what you see as a weak pathway, they become imprinted in our mind. And every day, every moment of our life, we are either walking the same path or we are creating a new one. When you're creating a new one, you really need to do it in a conscious way, in a proper way, so that you're building a good one and not a bad one. So the key point here is the patterns we follow in our daily lives either become the foundation for success, or it becomes a trap that leads to failure. Yeah. Okay. So that's how they are building blocks. They are building blocks of success or failure. And, there is a wonderful saying that Rome was not built in a day. It is a step-by-step process. Similarly, success does not come in one big leap. Like one fine day you wake up and say, Aaj main ye kar dunga and I'll be a successful person. Really doesn't happen that way. It doesn't come in one big leap. In fact, it is built on small, consistent action that you repeat over time, and you do the necessary cementing, which are actually scientific processes that many a times we follow in an unconscious way. But if you're aware of it, then it becomes easier for you to build new habits. I mean, if we take example of Virat Kohli, we so very well know that he has a daily fitness routine. In fact, not just Virat Kohli, all the successful sportsmen, if you see, they have a very, very proper fitness routine. They'll have a strict diet. They have focused training schedules. They have proper resting schedules. And that is what, when you build it over a time, it leads to success. Now, what are these patterns that I'm talking about? What is it that's happening in the brain? So this, we first spoke about the first topic, what are patterns? The second topic was about the brain, the science behind it. And our brain, it loves patterns because it saves energy. Have you ever realized that when you're driving on your way home, you never really have to think? Your steering wheel will automatically turn left, it will automatically turn right because it has become automated. The brain loves to save energy. Now, because that process is automated, you are now able to talk while driving. You can, shift music while driving. You can even give bad words to someone who is honking behind. Now, you're able to do all that because the process of driving and the path that you are taking is automated. So when you repeat a behavior, the brain forms connections and it makes it easier to repeat it next time. And there is the Hebb theory. Donald Hebb had developed this theory of neurons that fire together, they wire together. So, for example, when you took a path to your home, there was a certain set of routines that you did. There was a certain set of neurons that were fired together. Now, when they are fired together, they are wired together. And once they are wired together, if you remember seeing this, once they are wired together, a neural pathway is formed. And once that pathway is formed, it happens automatically. That's the way the brain functions. And all these memories, they reside in basal ganglia, that blue thing that you see there. That's where all the habits are stored, and they are stored in this particular place, and that is why it allows us to perform these habits without really thinking about it. Like, you really do not have to think when you enter home and you switch on the light. You really do not think about it. Your fingers just go there because the brain remembers where is the switchboard. It even remembers that which first, second, third, fourth switches of light, whichever switches of fan. And that's how it just happens automatically. Yeah. So one tip that I would like to give you is that when you want to change a habit, you start small. If you want to wake up earlier, start by setting up your alarm just 10 minutes before. For example, if you have a habit of waking up at 7 and you want to wake up at 5, do not have a target of waking up at 5, because the brain loves convenience. The brain loves to save energy. The brain likes a particular zone to be in. So if you say 5 o'clock, 7 o'clock to 5 o'clock, inside the brain has already thought, 2 hours before, I don't think I can wake up. So the brain will just not support you in waking up at 5. But you wake up at 7 and you say, okay, tomorrow I want to wake up at 6:50. The brain thinks, yeah, that's okay. 10 minutes early, it's doable. So it will support you in taking that action. 6:50 will not be a very difficult task to wake up. So that's how the brain supports us, or at times goes against it, in what we want to do in our life. So that is how the brain patterns are to be created. That's what you need to be careful of. Okay. So that's about the brain patterns, how it functions. Now, how do we use this knowledge to our advantage? Just a moment. Yeah. Yeah, to use this knowledge to our advantage, because we now understand that what are habits, what are patterns, how habits become huge patterns and they impact our life. We will also take certain examples about that. But before that, how do we use it to our advantage? So you can follow a simple 3-step process. First is identify the pattern. Take a moment each day to notice that what are those habits or thoughts that you automatically repeat. It's, for example, I gave you the example of you getting upset with your child. It just happens automatically. At times you wonder, why can't I even, despite knowing, why can't I stop it? Or when I wake up, it's just unconsciously, you just pick up the phone and you check that what are the notifications and stuff like that. So these are automatic things that happen. Now, how do you use this? Now, how do you use this for self-improvement? So that's the first thing you identify. Identify the pattern. The second step you do is replace. Don't erase. It is difficult to delete habits, but yes, you can replace them. So, for example, instead of snacking when you are stressed, you can keep some dry fruits with you. So every time you're stressed and you feel like snacking, you replace it with having dry fruits. Or you can replace it by just taking few deep breaths. So replace a habit. It is very difficult to erase. I mean, it requires a different level of training, a different level of competency to be able to erase. And frankly, it's really, really difficult. So replacing is far more easier. So replace a habit rather than erasing. And third is commit to repetition. The more you repeat a positive action, the stronger the new pattern becomes. Again, I will take you to this slide. The thing that you see on the left side, the person has walked on this path number of times. It's become a strong pathway, and this can be repeated now without really thinking hard. So that's how you build up strong pathways. Repetition is what is important. On the other hand, if you see the one on the right side where it's a weak pathway, it will be very easy for this pathway to just dissipate. Over a period of time, if you don't repeat, the pathway will vanish. So even though, when we talk about neurons that fire together, wire together, so maybe in the right hand side, you did have that pattern of neurons firing together, so wiring together. The wiring has formed. But if the repetition doesn't happen, that wiring will just vanish after certain time period. So it is important for you to repeat the thing. Otherwise, it's not really going to become a permanent pattern. And when it's not permanent, it is not in subconscious mind. And if it is not in subconscious mind, it is not going to be easy for you to repeat that again and again. So that's the second aspect of the science behind how it functions. What is the process you can use to take advantage of this knowledge? And the next point is how handwriting and patterns are correlated. Your handwriting is actually a snapshot of your subconscious mind. So for example, if I take example of, let me see who I have here, Sham Gupta. So the way Mr. Sham Gupta may write his name, he may say that, okay, I, Sham Gupta, am attending Maven's talk, speaking, Maven's session. So when he writes, I, Sham Gupta, so the way what he writes is the conscious mind, because he's consciously thinking, yes, right now I'm sitting in a session and I'm listening. So that's a conscious mind. But the way he will write I, the letter S, the letter H, the letter Y, the letter A, the letter M, that is the subconscious mind. Now, he may not have control over how he writes SHYAM, because even every one of you, when you look at your writing in your school, college days, it was very different from what it is today. If you try to copy the writing that you had so many years back, it won't be easy, because this current writing is your subconscious mind snapshot. So whatever has happened over the years is now showing up as those patterns. Now, every stroke reveals something about the patterns you are following, both consciously and subconsciously. Now, consciously, it could be about how you are, things that you're aware of. Like I just now said that consciously you are watching this session. Those are conscious patterns. Those are conscious things that you're aware of. Subconscious ones are the ones that are running in background. For example, if there is a pattern that you are watching a video and because you're not in a physical setting, you may end up checking your mobile from time to time. Now, those are subconscious patterns. You may not even realize that you have ended up picking up a mobile and, watched it. The conscious pattern may be that, yes, I want to earn X amount of money by next year. Okay. The subconscious pattern may be, can I really do it? Do I have it in me to be able to take these big steps? Now, if there is an alignment, this thing will happen. If the alignment is not there, it won't happen. For example, if the thought is that I want to learn XYZ, but the subconscious pattern is of self-doubt, the chances of it becoming reality is less. But if your conscious pattern is that, if your conscious thought is, I want to walk every day 15 minutes, and your subconscious pattern is, I want to learn. I want to learn to do new things. The chances of that habit formation is much higher. So handwriting is the link to your subconscious mind. I mean, everything the moment you put your pen on paper, the subconscious patterns begin showing up. Even depending on, the space that you leave on right hand side, the space you leave on the left hand side, the space you leave at the top, the space you leave at the bottom. If it is a ruled paper, do you write on the line? Do you write above the line? Do you write below the line? Everything about your handwriting is talking about your subconscious patterns. So your handwriting is a very simple and beautiful link to your subconscious mind, because we really do not know which subconscious patterns are supporting us and which patterns are not supporting us. So with that, uh, and that is why I really like the tool of handwriting, because it's powerful and it's simple, and it's something that we have learned when we were of the age 6. We don't have to learn any new skill to utilize handwriting as a tool for personal growth. Now, how does pattern affect our life? That's the next thing I would like to talk about. And nothing works like stories. If I tell you 10 things about how following a particular routine can help you, it is like, okay, Preeti is talking. Yes, it is Gyan. I'm listening, blah, 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 blah. But if I tell you a story, you can really correlate to it. So let's hear some real life examples of, okay, before going to that, this is an example of, the subconscious patterns. If you see the slant of these writings, the first one is straight. The next one is more towards the right. The third one is more towards the left. Now, these are subconscious patterns of how you express yourself emotionally. So as a graphologist, every sample, handwriting sample, the slant tells me whether the person is expressive, or the person will express at a particular time, or the person will not express, will keep the emotions in their heart. Yeah. And let's look at some stories driven by patterns. The first one is about a I mean, he's one of my idols, Dr. APJ Abdul Kalam. He's known as the Missile Man. He has been our president. And when you look at how he has, the patterns that he has, now he really has a lot of discipline in his life. And one of the things that Dr. Abdul Kalam always talks about is learning. He has never stopped learning. Even in the last stages of his life, he was always a learner. And that's why technological advancements came so easily to him. Becoming a president came so easily to him because he was always a learner. Now, what was the impact? Now, these patterns of having a discipline, he's very famous for having a very, very proper daily routine. So these patterns of having a proper discipline, of being a lifelong learner, they led him to be known as the Missile Man, and he became a key figure, in countries' defense and space sectors. And what is the lesson to learn? That consistent habits of discipline, lifelong learning, they build a strong foundation on which you can achieve success, both personal as well as professional. So that's a story of how he utilized the patterns to be the person he is, to inspire so many people. The next person I would like to take is this is a kind of a science person and a politician. The second one is business, because when we talk about money, business or work is something that becomes an important factor. So what is it about Dhirubhai Ambani that has led to his success? He has patterns of resilience, and he has patterns of hard work, and he has patterns of risk taking. He's never shied away from taking big risk. When the capacity of a product consumption in India was X, he went ahead and built a manufacturing unit of 2X, which is like a huge risk. So those are things that has defined, those patterns have defined his success and the way he has achieved those successes. He has been resilient. I mean, uh, he has been somebody who has really taken risks to the next level. He has been persistent. Whatever things he has taken up, he's been persistent, seen that it goes right up to the end. Now, what has been the impact? His willingness to embrace calculated risk has formed this empire that he has created for himself and for the country, and the kind of strides that the company makes, the kind of profits it gives to the shareholders. So it's kind of a win-win. Of course, there are many other things, negative things that are associated with this person. But today we are talking about how the patterns have led to his success. And so, yeah, this is one person that I would want to have spoken about. The third person I would like to talk about is a sports person. Now, we all know the story of Maricom. We've known that she was a woman who again came into the field after having 3 children. Now that's not easy. And we are talking about resilience, hard work as the key points by which she could achieve this success. She never let it go. She kept following her dreams. And because she was so um, you know, what can I say? Resilient, yes, but also she was so determined about it that the support then started coming together for her. Now that's the story of resilience and hard work. How these patterns can give you success, can inspire so many Indians to get into sports, to get into boxing, to give you the um, to give you faith that it is possible when you put your mind to it. So see how these patterns create the success story and gives hope, faith, and inspiration to so many people. While we speak about so many success stories, I would like to even talk about how it can lead to failure. Now, this is a person that we all know of. He has been the person behind the stupendous success of Kingfisher. At the same time, the patterns, when you look at his patterns, the patterns of, uh, you know, excessive indulgence, patterns of neglect. I mean, he's supposed to be having this kind of a golden toilet in I think his London home. I'm not very sure about that. But yes, so look at the extravagance to a degree where it really does not serve any purpose. So this pattern is not just reflected in a golden toilet, it's reflected in so many areas of his life. And when you look at the pattern of neglect, how despite having a very successful venture of Kingfisher, as the liquor brand, as an airline brand, but not paying attention to what that company requires in terms of financial prudence, in terms of so many factors. Now, where did all that lead to? Now, it is these patterns that he repeated time and time again in every area of his life, in his relationships, in his personal conduct. So his entire empire that he created just crumbled under the weight of these patterns. So if we look at the patterns here, yes, the patterns of excessive spending, and neglecting the core responsibilities led to the personal and professional downfall. No matter how successful he was, but finally, this is what it led him to. So that's how the patterns can also lead to, this kind of failure. And that is why patterns really matter because, and that's why pattern really because they run in the background. You at times do not have say in it, and they determine how well you function. So good habits, of course, will help you in moving forward, while the bad habits, they can sabotage your success. Even if you reach the peak of your success, peak of your career, peak of whatever dreams you had in mind, but the bad habits, eventually they sabotage your success. And it's not that life does not have its up and downs. Of course it does. But the bad habits ensure that the downs happen more often. The downs they suck you in really bad. And if you have the good habits, the good patterns, even when the downs are there, you do not lose control of yourself. And you end up coming back into this phase you want to be in. So, you know, our lives are shaped by our habits. Identifying and intentionally shifting each one habit even a simple habit, even a single habit, can create a ripple effect. Now, imagine if you decide to wake up early, even half an hour early. It's a small habit that you're creating of waking up half an hour early. But this small habit, when you do consistently, means every single day you are getting half an hour extra. So if I'm talking about just if I talk about 6 working days, I'm having 3 hours extra. Imagine the kind of things that you can do in 3 hours. You can look after your health, you can read some books, enhance your knowledge, you can probably spend time with your family, you could probably cook some healthy food at home. Now, one small habit, look at the ripple effect it can have in multiple areas of your life. So small consistent actions really lead to long-term success, fulfillment, and in the same way, small bad habit can really create ripple effects. Now, at a personal level, I would want to share one bad habit that I had was I would, many years back, never reach on time. I was famous for, like if the time to reach is 9 o'clock, everybody would say, huh, Preeti to will not come before 9:30. Now imagine it's a one small habit of reaching late, but look at the ripple effect it has. People lost trust in me that she will not really reach on time. I lost respect of people, even though I did 10 things amazingly well. But this one thing made people lose trust in me. I would feel, kind of small because I reached late. So I would always conduct myself from a space of, oh God, I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry. My conversations would begin with, I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry. Now, one small habit can have so many ripple effects in different areas of our life. And that is why habits matter, patterns matter, because they govern our life. Yes, now, today, after working on myself, when I enter a meeting, I know I'm on time or probably a minute or two early. I've still not reached the space where I'm 10 minutes early. That's work in progress. But yes, you can understand by this example how things really matter, how your habits matter, your patterns matter. Some practical tips for all the people present here currently or watching it later on the recording. Start small. Do not aim big. So I already gave an example of how just waking up 10 minutes early, half an hour early can, it's a small change to happen. From 7 o'clock to 6:50 is doable. But from 7 o'clock in the morning to 5 o'clock in the morning, it's too big a step for the brain to take the initiative. So first, start small. Secondly, track your progress. Use anything, a habit tracker or a journal, or, there is this wonderful book of Atomic Habits by James Clear, and he gives a very nice example of, our brain loves to do tick mark. So If you are starting a small habit, and if somewhere in your home on a board or in your book, if you have this tick mark kind of a thing, that, okay, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday. And today, if you woke up at 6:50, you go do a tick mark there. Tuesday, you woke up at 6:50, do a tick mark. Wednesday, you didn't wake up at 6:50, do a cross there. Some of the brain will not be happy doing a cross. You may, in fact, hesitate to do a cross because the brain doesn't like it. So on a Thursday, the probability of you waking up at 6:50 is much higher. So when you track, the brain can see it, then the neural pathways start becoming better because you're tracking it, you're repeating it. And as I said, replace, don't eliminate. You just can't quit a bad habit. You have to replace it with something positive. So, so these are practical tips by which you can start creating a new pattern for yourself. And remember, habits are powerful tools. I cannot even begin to talk about how habits can change your life. So once you understand that every action contributes to a larger pattern, you can actively shape your life to align with your long-term goals rather than letting bad habits, slowly pull you away from success. So those are certain tips that I would like to share with you. And in conclusion, making patterns work for you because patterns really are the foundation of both success and failure. I gave you the example of Vijay Mallya in failure. I gave you my own example of how my past pattern was of, of showing up late practically every single time. These lead to a lot of failures in life. At the same time, how good patterns can lead to success. When I realized my mistake, when I realized this pattern of mine, I really worked hard on it through my graphotherapy, through other tools that I learned over a period of time. But graphotherapy, and in that also, two particular patterns really helped me to come out of these pattern of showing up late every time. And today I feel so satisfied and fulfilled that yes, I was able to change one pattern, and the brain learns fast. When the brain sees that, yes, you changed one pattern, the way you do one thing is then easy to duplicate. Then the brain can duplicate that in other areas of life. We also discussed about famous personalities like Abdul Kalam and Marie Kom, of how those patterns can build success for you. So your brain naturally builds habit. So choose those habits that you're building. And the other takeaway is that handwriting reveals your subconscious patterns, and you have the power to change them. When I initially learned handwriting analysis, there was one particular pattern that my writing was showing, and I was in denial. I was like, yes, rest all is fine. But this pattern, no, I don't have this. I don't have this. I was in denial. I was not ready to accept that this subconscious pattern exists in me. But yes, handwriting was a tool that helped me to become aware of myself, aware of my strengths, aware of my weaknesses, and that gave me the power to change them. So, so make these patterns work for you because I strongly believe that whatever happened in past, like I had a bad habit of reaching late, that is in past. What I do today and future is in my hand. I can choose to create a pattern to reach on time. Similarly, you can choose a pattern to exercise regularly. You can choose the pattern. You can choose those habits where you eat healthy. You can choose patterns where you manage your time better. So these are patterns you can choose because finally it is in our hands to do this. We can choose to do it. And with that, I would like to, you know, uh, have be open for the questions that you may have. But my urge to you will be utilize these patterns in your favor rather than against you. So if you have any questions, feel free to ask. So could you be a little louder? Let me just close this share. Okay, yeah. Could you repeat the question, please?
Good morning, ma'am. Am I audible?
You're audible. It's breaking a little, but yes, you're audible.
First of all, thank you very much. Very great insight. We were not aware about all patterns and all biasing and all regarding education and all. So I would like to know the name of the book you told me, Atomic Habits. Can you please
Yes. The name of the book is Atomic Habits by James Clear. I'm
by
not
James
getting it
Clear?
right now. By James Clear. James, James Clear, Clear. It's a treasure of small ways in which you can create habits. And it's one of the books that has changed my life.
It is like, we can get it Amazon and all.
Yes, yes.
I will
Readily
find it.
available.
Thank you.
You're welcome. And
Good.
thanks for your kind words. Anybody else has a question regarding the patterns, regarding the brain, the science behind it, regarding handwriting?
Yes, good morning.
Good
I'd
morning.
like to ask you one particular question which disturbs me uh, many a time. It's like I set my mind to something and I achieve it also, but I give it up also very easily. So I feel either I'm not determined, I'm not focused, or I don't care, or I don't know, you could place it properly. What is it?
So see, many a times there are many reasons why this could happen. In for one of my client, the pattern I had seen was that why they get success but then later on give up is because the success in the first place did not come from their space. It came more as like, I want to prove this to someone, that, okay, I can do it. So that actions were taken more as a way to prove someone. Now, what happens is that the moment you have proven, the brain thinks my task is done. I had to prove that I can do this. I did it. So it's done. So then the brain doesn't support in continuing it. It could be one of the reasons why it happens. There are many reasons. Of course, it's the handwriting that shows the pattern. So I don't have a sample of your writing, so I cannot really pinpoint a pattern. But yeah, there are some reasons. One of the reason is that you are doing it because to prove someone. The other is because koi danda lekar khada hai, like when teacher stands right on top of you and say, you have to write it 10 times. Like I'm giving a very child example, but like someone is pressurizing you to do something, you do it at that time. But the moment teacher goes away, you are like, okay, there's no one to watch over me, so I am not going to do it. So it could be multiple reasons for which it happens. But Samina, one thing I can tell you is that if you look at your patterns, if you look at in which areas of your life you're doing it, you
Mm,
will find a pattern there. So
mm,
does it happen, for example, if it is your boss telling you? Does it happen if it is your spouse telling you? Does it happen when you are doing it in pressure? Or does so look at the patterns that when are the things that is happening? And that will give you an idea about why is it happening. Once you know the why, then you can utilize different mechanisms to make it work for you, so that you keep repeating it even after your initial euphoria of having done it is gone.
mm. No, but I would like to differ on this point with you that I know you had said there are many, but both these points don't apply to me. That's why I can never do a job because I do not like a boss over my head. I do not listen to anyone. I have my own way of functioning. I won't even listen to my husband or my mother. I will never used to listen. It was because the way I was brought up, you know, and I'm happy with that totally because it gives me a very individual and unique personality.
Hmm,
It's
hmm,
a grudge that. But secondly, also I don't do it to show the world because I've seen that also. The minute people know, I feel Oh, they know. Why did they know? Means mainly it is for myself. Like everything, even if I dress up well, it's for myself, not to show the world. If it is doing a task well, it is for my own satisfaction.
If I take this example that you dress well, that is for yourself. So do you find yourself not dressing well after some days?
Yes, yes, I do find that. Yes. I'm telling you,
So
there's a
then
pattern, you know,
there's a
for
pattern.
every.
Correct.
Yeah.
Everything is a pattern, and how this pattern turns up in our space, it many a times turns up in good ways. The same thing can also turn up in a bad way. For example, I'm a very empathetic person, so I can really listen to person. I can put myself in their shoes, so that's a good thing to have as a coach. But
Mm,
many a times with my daughter, it becomes a negative aspect because she knows that mom will, kind of listen and she will not do this and that. Many a time she takes advantage of it. I know she's taking advantage of it. But
mm,
because it's a subconscious pattern, I'm now getting aware of it. But for me to turn that around will take certain time because these patterns, despite knowing about them, they are
mm,
not easy ones to, kind of shift. So,
mm.
so is empathy a bad thing? Not really. Is
No,
empathy a really good thing? Not really. It's how I'm using empathy.
it has to have a balance.
It has to have a balance.
Yeah.
So that's what you learn over a period of time, and we all are work in progress. So
Mm,
you recognize this, that's great. Try to see the try to see the where has this begun? What is
mm.
the reason behind it? So uh,
What is.
as a handwriting analyst, I can look at a handwriting and see the pattern. But
Mm,
because we are not right now talking about handwriting analysis per se, without the analysis, then you have to do the inner work of understanding what is the source of these patterns, when did they begin, what was the initial um, what was the initial caveat that I got, what was the initial advantage I got by starting this pattern, and
mm.
then how it went forward. So then you have to do inner work to get into the root causes of these patterns.
I think I'll do inner work. That is because, again, I won't be able to change the handwriting because, again, I'm a person, who will listen to you to change in certain aspects, and certain aspects I will not listen.
True, true.
You know, I mean, I'm
Yes.
stating it very frankly. I'm like that. I'm built like that. So I think I'll have to find my inner core.
Inner
And
thought.
yeah,
And by the way, when I say graphotherapy, it is not about changing writing because we should never change our writing. That's
yes, I
my
know.
personality. That's
Mm,
my uniqueness.
thank.
Graphotherapy is more about practicing certain patterns which give new neural pathways to the brain. So it is 80% about practicing different patterns and definitely not changing writing. Maybe a letter or two in the writing, but
Mm,
if I change the writing, then I'm changing the person. And that is impossible. I mean, if you looked at the slants, the straight slant, the right slant, the left slant.
mm,
Now, if I ask the person with left slant to write with a right slant, it is just not possible. At the
sim-
most, the person may be able to write one word. The person may not even be able to write an entire sentence because
mm,
that is the ingrained personality. So you never change handwriting. It's a no-no. It's a no-no. You only practice different patterns that help a different rewiring in the brain.
mm. Yeah, that's a very good way of putting it. Yeah. Okay.
Thanks for that question, Samina ji, because it's really a struggle to to you know to understand the patterns and overcome them. So
Yeah.
thanks for bringing that up.
Well, for me, now I'll tell you. Just now I've taken up, getting up early. And automatically, I've not trained my mind in the night. I don't tell, as people say, you have to put an intention. I don't do that. But my eyes open at 3, if not 3, 4, surely. Okay. Then first I used to go back to sleep, but it was very difficult to again get that sleep. So now I've decided, since I don't get sleep after that, once I get up, I need to pray. So I pray. I do pray, and it gives me so much satisfaction that I'm doing midnight prayers, which others have recommended earlier. I didn't listen to them. And after that, the peaceful and wonderful sleep I get is amazing, which no medicine will give you. So
Absolutely.
I said, oh, this is lovely. So even today I got up a little late, 4:30, but I said no, I'll pray. And I prayed, and about at what time? At 6 I went to sleep. And so I just got up.
Sabina ji, when you say that I did not give set an intent, I did nothing at night. But
Mm,
it is happening at subconscious level. You probably are a person whose
mm,
thoughts are very powerful. The
mm,
moment you think, the brain accepts it. So
the,
so
yeah.
this is so see if this is a pattern in you, you have the power to utilize this pattern in your favor. So all you have to do is decide or give that instruction to your brain that I want to get up early. You didn't
Mm,
do any other things which probably other people would have to do. Set an alarm,
no,
kind
I
of
alarm
रात को ये बोलना जल्दी उठना है जल्दी उठना है. There are some techniques
that.
people say that tell your pillow कि you wake me up at 5 o'clock or whatever technique. See,
Yeah,
different
what?
things work for different people. For you, probably just that one sentence to your brain is all it takes. So now
Mm,
that you know that power, that you know this pattern, utilize it in your favor.
wonderful. Oh, wow, I never knew that. Means thoughts and words have power, I know that, but I didn't know how deeply it is affecting me.
Yeah.
I think I need to learn about the brain plasticity.
Yes.
Yeah. Okay. Thank you so much.
Welcome, Samina.
In at least this small thing. Thank you.
Welcome.
Yeah, good
We
morning.
have last 5 minutes. So any other
Yeah,
question? Yeah.
good morning. This is Jai Kumar.
Good morning, Jay Kumar.
Yeah, the pattern things what you created was really extraordinary. So I have been working on that time and again. So it's
Thank you.
showing up. Yeah, lot of improvement. So one thing I wanted to ask that my son, he is being treated for OCD as well as hallucinations, schizophrenia. So is there anything you have a session or something which I can put him on so that he can, it will be
So,
helpful to him?
so I do not have a particular session for the condition that you have mentioned, but
Mhm.
consistent graphotherapy, I have observed that in all kind of, uh, what should I say? Um, in all kinds of conditions, what graphotherapy does essentially, it calms the mind. It calms the mind. The moment, there is this wonderful saying that my mentor has that a healthy mind cannot have a diseased body. They just don't
Got
go together. So how graphotherapy works is it makes your mind more and more healthy, more and more calmer every single day. The moment the mind is calm, somehow the body takes over. Our body has amazing qualities of self-healing, which is beyond our imagination, beyond our perception. Scientists today are even today are just understanding how the body heals itself. But the body is doing this since centuries. So body has innate qualities that are beyond our imagination. We are just beginning to understand it. But the crux of the matter is that the moment your mind is calm, a lot of things in our body start working in the natural way it is supposed to. For example, if I'm stressed, like I do have a workshop on stress, if I'm very stressed, you know it because your breathing becomes shallow. It's like, your breathing goes shallow. For some people, the hands start shivering. Some people start sweating. Physically, it shows up. The stress which is there in the mind, the body shows it. Now, in such a state, if I ask you to do archery, you think you can do it.
no,
The body just cannot focus on that goal. The body cannot make, the body stable to actually do that target. So When the body is in distress, your body and mind both cannot function properly. So you cannot expect anything constructive, productive coming out of that stressed space. But the moment you're calm, a lot of things can happen. Then it's like, like how as we were just speaking to Samina, that once you tell your brain something, the brain starts doing it. But the brain can do it when you are in a calm state of mind. If you're very emotional or stressed out, it's difficult for the brain to do it and for body to follow suit. So what in your uh, answering your question, uh, graphotherapy will help the child to come to a calm state of mind. And then the body takes over. And then how the environment is at home, how supportive, how is the environment in school, if the child is if the person is working, then how are the other different environments? They all put together then contribute to the person's progress or the pace of progress. So that's how it would work.
So graphotherapy is what is it? How do I get to know about it?
So graphotherapy is practicing certain patterns every day. So it's like the initial starter program is of 33 days. And you have, there's a special book that I courier to the person. On that, there are certain patterns which are made. So you practice those patterns. It's a 20-minute process. There's a pattern. There are certain other mind instructions that I give, certain hand exercises that are there. So you practice those patterns, different patterns every single day. Now, if you remember the slide of, a strong neural pathway and a weak neural pathway. You do it once, it doesn't make a difference. But when you do it daily, the strong neural pathway is formed. And then eventually the mind gets into that calm state of mind. So that's about this. In fact, we are going to have a workshop on social anxiety in the month of October. Shabana ji, if you could share that in the group here right now in the chat. So in this workshop,
Yeah,
there is a 5.
your number also, your phone number
Okay.
also.
Yeah.
Yeah. So in that workshop, there is a 5 days of practice as well, just to give an idea about, just to give an introduction of what graphotherapy is, how it is practiced and stuff like that. So that you can consider attending that workshop.
Yeah,
And
I will.
and my contact number also she will share. So you can connect with me particularly about the person you are talking about, that what can be done
Okay.
in that particular case.
Okay. Now I feel that I also need it.
Human beings require growth. Human beings require peace of mind. And how we say that meditation is a must for everyone. Similarly, graphotherapy is a very simple way of meditating. Meditation at times becomes difficult because ऐसा बोलेंगे कि आंख बंद करके कुछ मत करो तो वो कुछ नहीं होता है, because the mind is very busy. So graphotherapy is a beautiful way of meditating with intention, with visualization, with goal setting. So yeah, any person who wants to grow in life, who wants to have that inner peace, this is a very wonderful technique, very wonderful tool to have.
Thank you.
You're welcome, Jay Kumar. Thanks for the question. Okay, so we will wind up for the day. Okay, I guess, okay, Sham, that's the last question. Yes, go ahead.
Sir, just one showed one page there where different handwriting. I mentioned here on 4 images, Kalasa or Dhiruvai Ammanji or Mathicom and one more Vijayama. So got to understand about this. So I want to know हैंडराइटिंग मैं आपको बता रहे थे ना कि हैंडराइटिंग 3 तरह की दिखाई मैं या तो मैं सुन नहीं पाया या कवर क्या डिफरेंस बता रहे थे हैंडराइटिंग
I'm so sorry, Shamji. I'm not able to, the voice is breaking a lot. What I will do is I'll just type in my phone number. You can connect with me after the session because I'm not able to really understand
ओके
what
गॉट
you're
इट मैम
saying.
गॉट इट थैंक यू
Okay, now
आई
your
विल
voice is better. Now your voice is better.
Yeah, I'm saying that handwriting, you have shown three handwritings.
Right.
So what handwriting means? What is the difference in you said emotional and introvert, something. So I want to know little more about that.
Sure, sure. I mean, just that particular slide, I can talk
Yeah,
for
yeah,
2 hours. But
yeah.
in short, I will tell you the three were first writing was straight, like a 90 degree. If this is the baseline, do I have a pen? No, I don't. So if this is the baseline,
Yeah,
it was vertical. The
yeah,
next writing was on the right side, the third
yeah.
was on the left side. Now,
Yes.
you know, okay, the best example is that, when two people are talking, okay.
Mm.
For example, if I'm interested in what you're talking, so I will come like this,
Okay. Inclined towards.
to the right, right?
Yes.
But if I'm really not talking, if I don't like what you're talking, so I will be like,
Okay.
I'll go to the left. So you observe two people talking. See, our brain understands a lot, even without learning. When you look at two people talking, you can tell whether both are interested or they are not interested, or one is shouting, one is upset, whatever. Body language says it. So this is kind of body language of handwriting. So when you are someone who is extrovert, who can express their emotions, that's the right slant. Okay. So depending on at what degree it is, at a particular degree, people with that particular right slant can sell anything to anybody anywhere in the world. I mean, that's the significance of that particular angle of right, you know. When you look at the person with left slant, these are people for whom it is very difficult to share their feelings. They will not. So you will find most of the people, if you look in your circle, people who talk less, who on whose face you can never see anger, you can never see happiness. They have a fixed face. They have a very good memory. They will tell you कि तुमने उस दिन वो बोला था. They will tell you with time, with date, because that's how the left slant characteristics are.
I can relate. One of my sister used to write letter to me in my childhood days. So only her handwriting is left slant. So I have not seen the any other handwriting is left slant. Mostly either vertical or right slant, but there is any left. So I can relate. She's not much expressive. She holds many things in her heart, and not even one or two member on the family she is open. Otherwise, not many people.
It's difficult, and I mean, because she's your sister, I would just like to say that uh, mm, because the emotions are stored in the body, they don't express, it's stored in the body. So the emotions go in that part of the body which is weak, which is fragile. And then the disease develops in that part. So for example, I can express easily. So that was not my concern, but how stored emotions can become a disease. I was many years back, like I would say decade back, I had asthma. Okay. Now that asthma came because I was feeling suffocated in certain area of my life. And I was not able to talk about that part. So that suffocation was so high, and I was not expressing, or I was not doing anything about it. It went and got stored in my lungs. So the asthma got not manifested, but got created. So doctor said आपको किसी चीज से तो एलर्जी है. Test करवाया, कोई allergy नहीं है. So doctor couldn't give a reason to it. But when I worked on myself, I released those emotions. Now it's a decade and I don't have asthma. Otherwise, every time I had 2, 3 pumps. One pump in one purse, one pump in other purse, one pump
Everywhere.
in my mom's place. Because it was scary that what if it comes and I can't breathe? So wherever I would visit regularly, every place there was a pump. So that's how it was. When you do not express or something, it goes and sits somewhere. So take care of the people with left slant, I would say. Yeah.
And that vertical one, 90-degree one will say ki it's a neutral. We can take it neutral or
They utilize the emotions in a smart way.
smart people, we can say. And that is the need of the hour. We can say.
Yes, correct.
That's beautiful. That's beautiful, man. Thank you very much for this
Thanks.
insight.
Okay. So good day, every day. Thank you for being here. Thank you for your curiosity. It makes the session much more uh, fun for me as well. I love sharing knowledge, and I really urge all of you who are present here and who is watching the recording to write something or the other every day, even if it's a bit, even if it's what's going on in your mind. It really helps your mind and body both. So utilize this science in your favor is what I would urge or you all to do. And have a great day, lovely day. Shavana ji, we can end the session now.
Yeah. Thank you. Thank you so much, Preeti ji, for a wonderful session. Thank you, everyone. And see you all tomorrow.